So what we're going to start off doing is I want to take a little poll, and we're going to talk about prayer. And so when I ask this question, if it applies to you, I'd like you to stand. If it doesn't, you're going to stay seated. So we're going to see where we're at with some prayer, okay? So the first question up on the board, please stand if you've ever opened your eyes during a prayer to see if someone else is opening their eyes during a prayer, and then you've criticized them for being heathens. All right. A large percentage of people. Yes, adults participate. Okay, you may be seated. Thank you. All right. The second one, second poll. Please stand if you've ever fallen asleep or nodded off during prayer. Okay, good. Thank you. All right. Good percentage. All right. You can be seated. Third one. Please stand if you've ever snuck a bite of food during prayer and hope nobody caught you. Almost everybody. There's only a couple fibbers here in the group. Okay. All right, you may be seated. This one's going to be great. Okay, this next one's awesome. Please stand if you've ever had gas during a prayer and you have tried to hold it in and hope no one found out, or you tried to let it out quietly during a prayer. Stand. Okay, I notice there's more men involved in this than women. The men to women ratio is definitely there. Okay, this is gender related. Last one. Please stand if you've ever prayed for something that you knew was wrong, what you were doing, but you did it anyway. For example, you were sneaking candy upstairs and you're like, please, God, help my parents not find out. Or you're speeding. Oh, I know I'm speeding, but God, help there be nobody get me a ticket. All right, have you done that? Okay, all right. Well, thank you guys for your honesty. I appreciate it. So what we're going to talk about is 40 days of prayer. Okay, and our church is doing 40 days of prayer. Now, what can happen in 40 days? Now, you might think 40 days, not a lot of things can happen. But I want to set a stage here, what can actually happen in 40 days. So first, on March 1st of this year, everything was fine. 40 days later, the world was shut down. You couldn't find toilet paper. You couldn't find eggs and all this kind of stuff. A lot can happen in a short period of time. Here is a slide, the first slide that I want to show you that happened in 40 days. The man on your left decided he was going to eat right and exercise, and look at his body change in 40 days of massive discipline. Okay? The second slide. Second slide is similar. Another thing. I'm going to tell you, when you get to my age, that guy on the right seems pretty impressive. But in 40 days of actual just discipline, you can do unbelievable things if you take it seriously. Okay? And then this last one, I don't know if you've ever heard of the movie Super Size Me. Okay? About 10 or 15 years ago, this movie came out, and this guy did a documentary. And he went... And he had video cameras and everything, and he went into a doctor and had all the medical tests done, and he said, you're in perfect physical condition. So he said, okay. And he knew he was in good condition, but he got all the proof. Then he went, and he had them document him along the way. For 30 days, he decided, I'm going to eat McDonald's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, video it, and see what that'll do to my body. So he did this. I couldn't show the pictures because the before and after pictures, he was in a Speedo and it made me want to throw up in my mouth. But, so this guy goes and he does this thing. In 3 days, he started feeling terrible. Okay? In 1 week, he describes in the film as he's going through it that he actually starts to feel depressed and discouraged. 2 weeks into it, he's feeling chest pains. For perfect physical condition, 2 weeks, he's now feeling pressure in his chest. At around day 22, he goes to his doctor, and his doctor looks at him in the film and is like, you need to stop this now. You're in a dangerous situation. That's in 3 weeks, all right? He finished to the 30 days. At the end of the 30 days, he had gained a bunch of weight. His cholesterol had skyrocketed. His liver was in danger of shutting down. It was a terrible mess. So what I want to just kind of get across, we're talking about in our church doing 40 days of prayer. What can happen in 40 days? You can do a lot of damage in your life in just 40 days. But you can also do a lot of unbelievably awesome things in 40 days with discipline. And so my challenge, I want to encourage you. What would it be like in your life if you said, I every day am going to pray? Every day. What would that do in your life? And I would submit that you would have a radical change in your life. And so I want to encourage you to do it. But even better than that, what if you did it, and you did it, and you did it, and you did it? What if our youth group, the entire youth group, says, every day I'm going to pray? Revival happens when we pray. And so I want to encourage each and every one of you for a few minutes to pray. So I'm going to share with you something that happened in my life and that involved prayer years ago. So I grew up in this church, went to the youth group, went to college, had graduated from college and was back. And I was at a time in my life where I am looking to try to find who I would marry. That was really important to me at this stage in my life. And I had a girl that I liked, she liked me, and we didn't have a college group here, so I went to another church on Tuesday, and so I took her to the college group, and she was nice. She was a nice gal. I knew her for a long time, but she was one of those gals that was a taker. You know, people sometimes just take, and they take, and take. Think of a relationship or somebody you know that is just a taker, okay? So she was known for that. Yeah, don't nudge people next to you. So she did this all the time. And it was like, oh, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And it was like, oh my goodness. So on one side, I wanted to find the right person for me, right? But then this person that I was with, nice, was driving me crazy. Okay, so take. None of us like take, right? So I want you to think of something for a second. Do we treat God like that? Do we just reach out to God? Can I have this? 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 I don't think there's anything wrong with putting your take your request to God and say, can I have this? That's not the problem. God, I believe, wants a dialogue, back and forth. God doesn't want just a monologue. He wants a dialogue. And so in this situation, I think God, who we are made in his image, would like to have a relationship just like we would like, okay? So I'm with this gal, and I'm going through this. I'm wanting to find the right person, and not knowing what to do. And I had enough. I finally had enough. She had just drove me crazy with, can you do this? Can you do that? Oh, my goodness. So we get to a point. We're over at Crossroads Church. I'm standing here. She's standing here. And right over there is her coat. And after the millionth request for me to do something for her, she said, I'm cold. Can you get my coat? Now, I would like to say that I had a great response. But I had too much. And so what I'm about to tell you that I said, you will not find in a Hallmark card. You won't find in a Valentine's Day card. And I would strongly recommend that you don't do this. But as I was saying it, I knew it was not coming out in an appreciative way, but I let it go. And this is exactly what I said. She says, I'm cold. Can you get my coat? I looked at her. And I said these exact words. You've got 2 legs, why don't you use them? Now, I know what you're thinking, Romeo, right? I'm a ladies' man. Okay, so needless to say, that was our last date. And I was actually totally okay with it. Because I was wanting something that I don't think she was ready to have. And it wasn't the right fit. However, I still had this desire in my heart that was really important to me to find the right person. And now I'm at ground zero. I want to read a verse to you. Okay? Philippians 4, 6 through 7. I think it'll be up here in a second. It says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God." Now that verse, if you break it down, is powerful. Okay? So I was in this situation. I shared with my mom, who again is the nicest person. She's the nicest encourager. She comes and she goes, "Oh, Randy, the right person's going to be there." And I was like, I was like, where? I was actually, where? There's nobody. Where? Okay? And I was discouraged, but this is what I did. I went, and the first thing I did was I was real to God. I was real. And I let him know that I was hurting, I was frustrated, and I desperately wanted something. And so we talked about lamenting in church weeks ago. I did that, and I was vocal. And so I actually said, this is what I'm going to do. I said, "God, I am going to pray every night until you show me who I'm supposed to marry." Now, I didn't do 40 days. I said, I'm going to pray every night. And I actually said, this isn't biblical, but I actually said, I will bug you until you meet the desire of my heart or change my desire. That's what I said. So I went, and this is what I did. Now, I'm just going to let you in on something that I did. So maybe this is something that you can emulate or do something totally different, but this is what I did. So I asked this. So if you remember what we've been talking about, there's 3 things we're doing with our journals. 1 is praying. 2 is saying thanks, giving thanks. And 3 is encouraging somebody. So I did the 2 of them, okay? This verse that we just talked about, one of the hardest parts of this verse to grasp is it says, basically it's saying pray. So when you're hurting, you're pleading to God, but you're actually giving thanks. It is hard to thank God when you're hurting. It's not easy to do that. However, I would say it is vitally important to do it because the same God that you're asking for help for is the same God that's blessed you in dozens of ways, millions of ways. So this is what I did. I shut the door. Every night I did this. I shut the door in my room, turned the lights down. I went right before my bed. I put my pillow down, and I got on my knees, and I said, and I speak loud. Okay, so I'm actually not quiet. I'm actually saying it audibly. And I said, "God, thank you for healing me." And I described the situation. And I said, "Thank you for my family. Thank you for this." And I started off with thanks. And then I said, "But God, I desire this." And I was clear and I was passionate. And I said, "God, this is what I'm asking for, and I need you to bring her to me." That's what I did. Day 1, day 2, same thing. Day 3, day 4. And at the beginning, it was not easy. It was kind of a drag for me. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't look forward to it, but I committed to it. And when you commit to God, you should fulfill your commitment to God. So I did that. After a while, though, there became a change for me. And that change happened with me where I finally shifted and I started thinking, I added some prayer requests to it. And my prayer went longer and longer and longer. And then I started enjoying my prayers. And then as I asked for more and more things, all of a sudden there were some answers that came. And then I was encouraged because there were some answers to the prayer. Now the main one that I asked for hadn't happened, but some of these other things happened, and that gave me encouragement to keep going forward. So during this time, I'm going to say it again, I did not miss a night. I did it every night. I went on a vacation in California. I did it there. I did it every night. So all of a sudden, one day, this cute little honey comes through the church. Now, I'm praying, and I'm telling you, we talk about silly prayers. I'm on my knees praying, and I'm like, "God, there's a cutie, and I'm interested, but I didn't feel I was at that league. okay? And I was like, can you please confuse her? Blind her, whatever you have to do, but I'm interested. And I was real. That's my point. I was real. He might have thought, okay, goofy, but he created me. So I was real. And I'll tell you, what ended up happening was something that I believe in my heart that God answered my prayer. I married her. So I married her, and I'll tell you, so we have 4 kids. We have so many different things, but this week, we put this lesson together. She helped me in this lesson on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, every day. The whole lesson got her imprint through the whole thing. God answers prayer. Now, sometimes God will answer exactly what you asked for, and it's like, that's awesome. But sometimes he'll close the door and open up something much better for you over here too. And if your focus is on, you know what, God, here's my request, but I trust you so much that I know you know what's best for me, it is an encouraging thing when you're praying. And so I want to encourage you to pray, because the blessing can be there. But I believe faithfulness makes a big difference. He knows your heart. So what we're going to do is there's going to be a picture on the wall, and it's called the Jerusalem Wall. If you raise your hand if you ever heard of the Wailing Wall, Jerusalem Wall, if you've heard of that. Okay, so, actually there's a verse first, Romans 8:28. He's probably waiting for that. Thank you, sorry. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. I believe that wholeheartedly, okay? So we are now we'll show the picture of the wall. So what I want to encourage you guys to do is we are going to practice this. I gave you an illustration of what I did, okay? You could do the same thing, or it could be a variation. There's no certain rule. But in this wall, people from all around the world, President Trump just went here, I believe, a year ago, leaders, a whole bunch of people, millions of people have done this. They write on a piece of paper a prayer request, and they put it in the cracks of the wall. And it's almost like symbolic of saying, I give this to you, God. I give this to you. So this is what we're going to do. You can stand and have the musicians come up here. But go ahead and everybody stand up. I would like you guys right now, if you could just think where you're at right now. Think about a prayer request. One thing to pray about, okay? One thing. What we're going to do is we are going to treat just like they do here. We've got our own wall over here. See the prayer wall by the candles, okay? And there's clothespins over there. I'm going to ask that you come up as soon as the music starts. I don't know if Sadie's around. Sadie's there. I didn't even see her come up. So as she starts playing, we're going to sing to it, okay? But I would like you to come forward, and right here, there are note cards right here. And I'm going to ask that you come up and write a prayer request, okay? 1, you're going to write down on the note. It could be anxiety, it could be family, it could be friends, or it could be a sentence that says, help me with my depression. Whatever it is, you take it, like here, there's pencils, you're going to write it, and then you're going to fold it up so it's private. You don't have to sign your name to it if you want to, because you specifically want us to pray, we can do that, but you're going to fold it up, you're going to take it over there, Carrie will show you, and we're going to put it up there on that wall, and we're going to have a clothespin. And that's going to be a representation of us as a youth group casting our prayers to God, okay? That will be displayed for the adults. They will see that. They're praying for 40 days, and I believe this will be an encouragement to them, okay? So as we start to sing, you can sing, and then also come up here, and I'm going to ask that you do this. This is a time where you can give something to God, and I ask that you do your very best to be willing to do that, okay? So come up here, then you go over there, and you'll come back down, and you'll stand and just finish the song when we're done, okay? Thank you.
speak what is true.
Encourage you, remember this prayer, and if you could just say this next week until we meet again, pray for this every day. Every day. You can add to your request throughout the week if you're here, or later on if you want to add to that, you can add to that. But every day say, I am going to commit to praying. And I just want to encourage you, okay? So just by nodding your heads, who will commit to praying for the next 40 days? Can I see that? All right, great. That's great. Let me close in prayer. Dear Lord, I just ask that you be with us as we go. I pray, Lord, that there is a transformation in the individual hearts, but collectively with our youth department, with our church, God, as we cry out to you. I ask that you help us to learn how to pray, and as we go over things for the next few weeks, speak to me, speak to them, speak to all of us, God. And we just give our request to you, and we know that we are asking the person that cares deeply for us. Thank you, and I just ask that you just bless each person in your name. Amen.